Hi, Luke. This is Gavin Keefe. I work at the New London Day. How's it going? So how did this kind of come about, Luke? When you saw the vacancy, did you reach out to Dan? Did he reach out to you? Kind of how did it all go down?
Coach Hurley and I, we're in communication pretty regularly. So I don't necessarily remember whether I reached out to him first or he reached out to me just about general conversation. But obviously when I saw the news that Coach Freeman was moving on, I expressed my interest to Coach Hurley and kind of went from there.
Roger? Oh, I'm sorry. Have you something else?
Just one quick thing. Was it a relatively easy decision considering, you know Dan really well and you know Tom and you know Kamani? I mean, how much did you have to think about it?
No, it was a very easy decision for me. Really excited about being here at UConn. You mentioned it. My relationship with Coach Hurley means a ton to me. He's a real mentor of mine and somebody that I hold in incredibly high regard. And, Tom and Kamani the same way. I've known each of those guys for close to 2 decades. And so, really exciting to be a part of this staff and to be around those guys on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Hey, Roger.
Sure.
Roger Cleveland from the Waterbury Republican American newspaper. I was talking to Mike Donnelly yesterday, and he said that in conversations with you, you've wanted to coach since you were like 11, 12 years old, that you knew that's what you wanted to do. What brought about that inspiration so early?
Well, I think this has kind of been mentioned before, but the ABCD camp was this camp that was run in Teaneck, New Jersey. And that wasn't far from where I grew up. And so that was something that I just kind of became aware of as a 6th, 7th, 8th grader. And even though I was playing, at my own level, I was always intrigued by the idea of the college coaches coming to recruit the best players in the country. And so that was kind of my first, introduction to college basketball, aside from obviously watching the games on television. So I think that was probably, the first time that it really became clear to me that I'd love to do that as a profession, whenever my playing days were over.
Dave?
Hey, Luke. Dave Borges, Hearst, Connecticut Media. Hi, congratulations.
Thanks, Ed.
I wanted to go back a little ways. I guess now you started your college career at UConn, correct? You were there for a semester, and someone was telling me that you were kind of trying to get involved with the basketball team even then, even though it wasn't in an official capacity. You were kind of helping out maybe the staff a little bit. You and Mark Daniel, kind of, is that accurate? And I'm assuming you were kind of.
Kind of. I mean, it's a little ambiguous. I knew Coach Moore a little bit, and I knew Andre LaFleur some, and obviously knew of and have tremendous respect for Coach Calhoun. And so every now and then, Coach Moore or Andre LaFleur would have me by the office, and we just kind of talk, kind of as I mentioned in that last question. I had a real good sense for, the high school basketball scene and recruiting. And so we would kind of kick names around in the office, but it wasn't anything in an official capacity. I know Mark was working as a student manager and really involved with the team. Mine was a lot more casual than that.
And Coach Moore, you mentioned your relationship with him, and he was your first. He gave you kind of your first job. Is that correct at Quinnipiac?
He did. Yeah, he was my first boss. I graduated from Fairfield. I want to say May or April of 2007, and I called Coach Moore to congratulate him on being named coach at Quinnipiac. As I mentioned, because of our relationship going back a few years prior to that. And he had the Tom Konchowski report, scouting report in his office. And he was up there with his assistant coach, Sean Doherty, at the time. And he said, hey, can I bounce a couple names off you? So we ended up going through the entire Tom Konchowski report. And I think what started as me calling him to congratulate him ended in me coming up the next day to interview for the ops job. And I started as the director of operations at Quinnipiac not long after that.
Dom?
Yeah, hi, Luke. Don Memori from the Hartford Current. I hope you're doing well. Congratulations. What's your philosophy, or what are your philosophical principles of recruiting? What to you makes a good recruiter?
What makes a good recruiter, or what are we looking for in recruiting?
No, to you, what makes a recruiter successful?
Just, I think, a diligence, really being dialed into the player that you're recruiting, his background, the people that are in his circle, whether that be high school coaches, family members, certainly grassroots coaches, teammates, as many different ways as you can kind of familiarize yourself with the prospect and his recruiting process and what's important to him. That's something that I always try to be as thorough as possible in the recruiting process, the evaluation process. And that's something that, Coach Hurley obviously prides himself in as well. And I think the staff here at Connecticut has done an awesome job of identifying the right kind of guys that fit the culture of the program. And then certainly, having a really comprehensive understanding of what goes into ultimately getting him to commit.
Neil?
Hey, Luke, Neil Ostra with the Journal-Inquirer in Manchester. Just going back to ABCD, were you there for LeBron, Lenny Cook way back? You must have been in high school probably at the time. Did you happen?
Yeah.
Did that kind of get your blood flowing? And were you there back then?
I was actually prior to LeBron and Lenny Cook that I first started going to camp, early 2000s, late 90s. But yeah, I definitely remember that period of time. Lenny was playing in Old Tappan, New Jersey, which was kind of right around the corner from where I was living. So it was cool to watch that. And, obviously LeBron and Lenny kind of took their different career arcs after that camp. But yeah, that's one of the great memories of ABCD for sure.
Charlotte?
Hi, Luke. Charlotte Carroll with The Athletic. It's nice to meet you and congrats on the job.
Thank you.
What have you seen, I guess, from UConn and what Dan's been able to do at UConn just over the course of 3 seasons? And kind of besides the people here and the good timing of that, just really made you want to come to UConn?
Right. Well, it's, obviously my experience with Coach Hurley, working with him at both Wagner and at Rhode Island, gives me a great appreciation for him as a coach and as a program builder. And, I watched UConn closely. If we weren't playing at Louisville or at Xavier over the last couple of years, obviously he's just been at Connecticut for the last 3, but I was watching Rhode Island games, I was watching Connecticut games, and I have a real appreciation for kind of how he's been building the program. Certainly the players that he's brought in, the intensity with which he coaches, the effort level and the commitment level that his teams play with. So it's been awesome to watch, from year one to now, the growth of the team, the real identity and culture that you can see being established. And I'm excited about the future, to build on that even more and continue to add great players and the players that are already in the program to see their development and their continued improvement is, one of the things I'm so excited about being here for.
Second round, Gavin?
What is about Coach Hurley that you have such a strong connection with him and, over the years?
Well, he and I, we have a really good synergy, just personally in terms of the way that we communicate with one another and the respect level that we have. But I just love the way that he coaches. I love the way that he inspires a group. I love, his perspective. I think he still brings some of that high school mentality in terms of really being invested in the players, wholeheartedly and 24/7. And I think that that's something that's hard to come by in college basketball. Sometimes you have coaches that are a little bit more inclined to have relationships with their players from 3 to 5 when practice is going on. But that's not Coach Hurley's way. That's not this coaching staff's way. And, it's always great to be a part of a program where you really feel like the coach is fully vested in the players. And that's what I see here at Connecticut. And that's kind of been Coach Hurley's, that's been his history, whether it's at Rhode Island or Wagner or going back to the St. Benedict's days.
Neil?
Luke, obviously you have famous family members, who kind of, I don't know, say dominate, but is it something that you're proud of, that you kind of get a little tired of hearing when you get a new job or when you're mentioned, or is it something that you try and embrace and have fun with?
Well, I'm certainly proud of it. I'm definitely proud of my dad and his accomplishments, but at the same time, that really doesn't have a whole lot to do with me or what I'm about on a daily basis. And so, I'd be lying to you if I said those questions, aren't somewhat tiresome. I'm sure everybody, for the most part, knows the story. And, I'm just kind of focused on being the best basketball coach that I can be here at Connecticut and hoping that I can help Coach Hurley and the program continue to ascend.
Tom?
Yeah, Luke, can you I don't know to what degree you could comment or talk about it, but why did things come to an end at Louisville? Could you shed any light on that?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just it was a surprise. It came as a surprise. I was in the process of going through a head coaching search with a couple of different universities and colleges, and was excited about the potential for that potential twice. But it came as a surprise. Myself and Coach Gaudio, who did a tremendous job at Louisville, we're kind of blindsided. But again, I wish those players the best, and they have a great fan base, and they love their program. And so, I wish them nothing but success. But I'm really, focused on the future and doing great things here at UConn.
Dave?
Look, obviously your recruiting history is well known, but in terms of working with the players and stuff, do you know, is there a sort of particular role you might take? I think you were more or less work with the guards, if I'm not mistaken, at Louisville. Is that, is there a definite role that you'll kind of take in practice type of stuff?
We're still working through some of that, honestly, Dave. You're correct in saying that at Louisville and at Xavier, I worked primarily with the perimeter players, with the guards and wings. I know Kamani, Coach Young's done a great job working with the guards here at Connecticut thus far, and Coach Freeman was working with the big guys. And so I think that there'll be some blending, of positional groups. I would imagine it's probably going to be a little bit more perimeter inclined with maybe wing players and a couple of guards, and maybe Coach Moore and I breaking up the big guys a little bit. But again, I think that's still to be determined.
Charlotte?
Have you been able to talk with the group yet, or kind of get to know them a little bit more?
Yeah, I've talked with every player, either over the phone or through text. A couple of them were kind of here on campus and have come through the office, Adama Sanogo and Jalen Gaffney, in particular, Isaiah Whaley as well. So I've had communication with everybody on the team, and the guys that are coming in, Sampson and Rasul, and obviously Jordan as well. And so we're looking forward to continuing to build these relationships and get these guys back on campus in June and get out on the floor and really start to connect.
Gavin?
Luke, if you could talk a little bit more about, you talked about going to ABCD, and when did you first start going to AAU tournaments? What age? And were you like doing evaluations on your own? I mean, how old were you when you started doing that?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what age. I know I was playing in them. I was playing in AAU tournaments, throughout high school. Right. And I would stay and watch the older guys play. So if I was playing in a 15 and under event, I would stay and watch the 16s and 17s play. And I did. I had the Bob Gibbons report sent to my house, and I was really dialed in on all the different high school guys across the country. And that was just kind of the advent of recruiting information becoming available on the internet. And so I was scouring the country for as much info as I could get. And yeah, definitely, like you said, Gavin, watching older guys play. I spent a lot of time in Manhattan and New York City watching different high school players play in Catholic League championships and PSAL championships and different grassroots organizations. So yeah, like, it's been a love of mine, and I'm blessed that I'm able to do it as a profession.
Did you do it before you're able to drive, or I guess you could take public transportation to places?
Yeah. I did it before I was able to drive, but again, a lot of times taking the trains or the bus or getting dropped off. That was just kind of part of it. My different family members took turns dropping me at different gyms across the tri-state area for a lot of my childhood.
Thanks.
I guess I apologize in advance, given your answer a few minutes ago, but a lot of people have asked me, your dad's known to attend games that you're involved with. Do you anticipate him being at any games at Gamble or Excel Center in the coming years?
I'm sure he will. He's a huge fan of Coach Hurley's and Coach Moore's. He goes back with Coach Moore a long way as well. So I'm sure he'll be excited about coming out and seeing home games and being around campus a little bit. The Louisville fans gave him a hard time because he had a losing streak for a couple games there. But I tried to explain he was going to like hard games. He would go to the Kentucky game or go to at Florida State. So it wasn't like there were bye games that he was showing up to when we were losing. So hopefully he can get off to a great start here and kind of reverse the trend a little bit.